everyone, welcome to my kingdom, or welcome back to my kingdom if you're returning. Thank you for existing. My name is KingZoePLUR. I'm a talent promoter, event planner, and art vendor. I make EDM content here on YouTube and story times and fun things like that. Today I'm going to be showing y'all how to make a vape holder, lighter holder, USB holder. It can be used for multiple things. This is actually a two-part video. In the first part, this part, number one, I'm going to be teaching you how to make this part here, the actual base of it where you're holding the object, and then in the second part, the next video, which will be linked somewhere, I'll be teaching you how to make the strap, which is where I go from a double stitch to a single stitch back to a double stitch. But yeah, join me in the adventure. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss a video, and let's get into it. All you're gonna need to start is a batch of some regular beads. I literally picked up some organized ones so it would be easier to make this. Fishing line, which I think it's important to use fishing line for this since it's like something that you're actually using a lot so that it doesn't break. These are some good scissors so I can actually cut the fishing line. Fancy beads so that you're able to like make a latch. Last time I used a bat and it worked, and so this time I'm going to use an airplane because it's kind of like got the wings like the bat does. And then you need your mold or whatever you're going to be making the wrap for, so that the thing that you're going to be making, you can literally make this for a lighter, a vape, a USB. It just has to be big enough at the top that you can put the latch over it. Measuring out the base for the case of what you're going to be holding is like, it's kind of hard to figure out how much string you're going to need, whether you're wrapping a lighter or a USB or whatever. It's a little bit different for everybody. Just, you know, get whatever you can for the fishing line. You can definitely tie more on later. I'm just making like a single right now. Basically, we're gonna start with a peyote stitch, and that's gonna be for the base, like the actual mold of the entire case of whatever you're holding. But you're basically going to make a single that's the same size as the circumference of whatever you're wrapping. So you're going to want this to like wrap around. See, the way I make candy is very much like a guessing game. I've been making candy for like 11 years. And I just guessed the whole way through. See how it goes and wraps all the way around. I think I actually might put one more bead. Yeah, that works. That looks like kind of fucking sick. See how it goes all the way around? Alright. So you're gonna tie that off. Go through a couple times and tie it off, and then what you're going to end up doing is like weaving in between the beads and just continuing whatever pattern you chose. I tied it like over and under literally like 6 times. My finger's like turning purple, please don't mind him. And then you can just slide your little guy in there. See how it fits, make sure it fits and everything. And then you always want to go up whenever you're making candy. So whatever your direction you decide from here is up, you just keep going. So you want to go, I usually go through, I don't know, like I usually go through the bead. I'm always used to like going like this whenever you're making a cuff, so that's what I do. And then it'll create like a little diagonal. It's gonna get like, try not to get too annoyed because the fishing line is like the bane of my existence and kind of hard to work with. I'm going around and I'm weaving in between the beads. I'm creating this little star thing. Oh, Jesus. pulling in this. It's so tiny, so it's kind of hard to work with. Okay, I'm starting it over again. I'm starting it over. Danny Bird, anybody? Or whatever. That song actually has been remixed by so many different people. But my favorite remix of that song is by Danny Bird. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I'm saying? Comment below if you know Starting It Over, Danny Bird remix. But anyway, if you see, you're gonna be like, see how going up. You'll see right here how going up is really important, because you're gonna take your fishing line and go through this orange bead after you've just finished the second row, I guess. And you're gonna go through that. My weird ass conglomerate. I probably should have picked like an easier color scheme to follow, but this is what you're getting, honey. I'm really sorry if this is the worst candy tutorial y'all have ever seen in your life. And also shout out to like literally anybody else if they have thought of making a Kandi Lighter leash before, or whatever USB leash thing, because this, once I figured this out, I was like super stoked. But yeah, you're just gonna want to weave in between the whole way through until you get the entirety of it. And just keep checking and making sure that fucker actually fits in there. If you see, it'll start to make that little case. Just keep, you know, making sure you fix it and stuff, and you'll see it come together. But if you just manipulate the beads to be in the position where you want them to be, they'll eventually, like, as you string it all together and you're doing that, it'll eventually just be that shape. Like, just keep checking on it. You know, like a friend at the rave who's like had a little bit too much something, and you're like, can't even figure out what it is, and then you're like, just keep checking on them, you know? Do you need water? Even if they say no, bring it to them. You know what I mean? Do you need a trash can? Even if they say no, bring it to them, because you all know, you never know when that shit's gonna upchuck. So anyway, yeah, just keep checking on them like your friend, you know, your little candy friend. But see how pretty that's starting to look? I'm actually shaking from the glory. I usually try to use this little knot that we made in the beginning as a marker of where you need to go up at. So we are now on like the 5th row almost. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and then this is 4. And we just went up, so we're about to make the 5th row because we've weaved in between. And it's gonna look weird, so don't get discouraged. It's gonna look weird. Just trust the process for real, because it's gonna look weird. I actually started just putting this in the mold so that we can just have it in there and know that it's always the same. And like I said, if you keep manipulating the beads as you're making it, it'll just naturally, like, that's just how it works. It's like a sculpture, but with beads, you know? And it'll just naturally form into whatever shape you're trying to make it into. And then if you see, here's the knot. This is where we're going up. We just went up on the yellow bead, and now we're going up on the pink bead. And this is how you get to the next row to be able to stitch. So we just completed the 5th row, and now we're on the 6th row. So I'm going to go all the way around and complete this. And then I'm going to teach you how to do the latch and how to do, like, seal the bottom up. Before you start the latch, you want to tie this off, and then you want to make a bead right here, or a button, so that you can latch it over and test it and make sure that the latch is the same. It's actually gonna hold this in. Find the middle where, like, on your favorite side, like whichever side you like presented more. I usually pick the side that doesn't have the knot on it, and you're gonna want to loop around like this and start out of the one that's like in the middle. Go around to the front. It's gonna be where the little bead is to secure it. You're gonna find the spot in the middle, and you're gonna tie the string that will be for the bead to hold the latch. I'm tying it right here at like the second row down, and I'm skipping a bead in the middle, but it's just gonna be different for most people. If you have a larger bead or a smaller bead, I wouldn't suggest going too much smaller than this, so you can actually like get the latch to fasten around. But you want to make sure you're tying it like a lot, because you want to make sure that these parts are like the most sturdy out of the whole thing, because it's going to be the thing that you're constantly opening and closing to get the lighter or whatever you're wrapping. Just want to give that a fucking tug, make sure it's staying on there. So I tied it a whole heap. Then you're going to cut that fucker off, and then you're going to work on the latch part. Pick a color of beads. Make sure in the middle part. The only reason why we didn't use smaller beads for this portion was because I need beads that will be able to loop through twice, so I can go back around and tie it. But we need to make sure we have the beads to be able to loop, so I'm just using these random pearlescent, like really tiny pearlescent beads. It doesn't really matter what you're using because it's going to be covered up. Like, you might see a little bit of it shine through, but it's going to be covered up for the most part, so it really doesn't matter what you use. You just want to make the loopy part that's going to go under. That's what you're making here. Once you have your final loop, you want to string through all of these beads. Oh, I think I made that a little too big. What's that? I made it too big. Alright. It's an easy fix. All you have to do is go back through. See that? That's much better. Now we have to make the bottom. First, what you're going to do is tie off the top. Which I'm actually going to take out the lighter first so I don't light myself on fire. Making sure that this is tight, but not too tight to the point where it's not going to fit. And making sure it's tight is really important because that's the whole point of it being a holder. So I tied it up here, and then I like to pull back through one of these things, tie it like to a different level. See how I'm like one level below, so you can just like boop boop. You just want to take your beads and build a literal cast type thing around, doing the same thing that you did this way, but you're just going down. And eventually they'll meet up, and then you'll just link them together, basically. So once you get like around to this point where the entire lighter is encased, you can start making the actual bottom part. I just like to start the bottom off more than just at the actual part where it starts looping over, because I feel like it makes it sturdier, and I feel like it just, I don't know, I feel like it helps make the entire piece as a whole like last longer. The way that I start it is I have this, and you can just start making it smaller by skipping. Instead of adding a bead in between here, you'll take your bead and you'll just go to the next one. And this is where I start. This is why I started to tell y'all that it's not gonna look pretty, because you're starting to like manipulate the shape of the beads. But see how it's gonna start to get smaller? All you had to do was skip one. Instead of going between the two greens, you went between the other ones. See? And when you start to push the beads, then you'll be able to create this like spiraling in effect. And that's how you're gonna make like the cup or the base of your the lighter holder or whatever you're making this for. See how eventually you'll be able to join these beads in the middle here. It's gonna look wonk, it's gonna look crazy, you're gonna think you're not doing it right at first, but don't worry. I'm here to tell you you are doing it right. You just think you aren't. Before I actually made one, it was rainbow striped, and I made this part into a cloud and just added a bunch of like random beads, but from a distance people told me it looked like a penis, so I wasn't really down with that, so I didn't make it like that this time. And so you're just gonna go up like you normally would, but you just got this wonky base, that's all. Because the beads are really not gonna, like, they really just do not like this direction. It's gonna look really weird at first, but I've probably said trust the process like 8 times, but literally trust the damn process. Wow. Because this is, eventually you'll see, I mean, I'm sure you already do see the vibe. It's holding the lighter, ain't it? When I get to this point, I usually string this in here. And then it puts it back in place. And then this is when I start going like across. And just filling in like and weaving between. But basically you're just weaving back and forth so that you can close off the bottom portion. And see how you have so many beads that you can actually meet this back around? This part's kind of like a guessing game too. Looks like it needs one more. See? It makes a little case. And then you can push your lighter down in there.